All right, let's dive right into this explainer. It's pretty obvious why so many of us are drawn to cheap, used SUVs, right? The appeal is totally undeniable. They sit nice and high, they offer tons of cargo space, and when you see a price tag under $10,000, well, it really makes you feel like you're scoring a brilliant practical deal. But there's a massive trap hiding in plain sight for the budget-conscious buyer. So today we're going to break down 7 specific used SUVs that you should absolutely avoid, unless of course you have ironclad proof that they're in perfect mechanical condition.
Because here's the thing about that cheap buying price you see online, it's honestly just an illusion. Look, when you find a used SUV for, say, 6 or 7 grand, it's so incredibly tempting to think you've just saved a fortune. But what we don't usually see are the catastrophic engine and electrical repair bills literally waiting just out of frame. The attractive price on that window sticker is completely separate from the actual cost of keeping that heavy vehicle on the road.
And that brings us to a crucial reality check. A single transmission fix on one of these aging SUVs, that can easily cost half of the car's entire value. The very moment that transmission slips or the engine starts knocking, any savings you thought you had are instantly wiped out. So you really have to ask yourself, are you buying a cheap car or are you just buying someone else's extremely expensive repair bill?
Now, before we get into the specific models, I want to clarify something super important. We're definitely not saying that every single one of these vehicles is destined for the junkyard today. Not at all. Some owners out there have great ones that were beautifully maintained, but the risk pattern for these specific models is just way too severe to ignore at this price point. At under 10 grand, you're dealing with high miles and aging parts, and that really magnifies these known factory weaknesses.
Okay, let's get into our first trap, the older Nissan Rogue. From 2008 all the way to 2013, the Rogue was incredibly popular. I mean, it makes sense. It's small, it's efficient, and it's very easy to find on a budget. But it uses a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. And while that transmission feels wonderfully smooth when it's working properly, it is notoriously fragile as it ages. It's essentially a ticking time bomb.
So if you're out there test driving one of these, you have to be hyper vigilant. Do you feel any kind of shuddering sensation? Is it slipping or hesitating when you step on the gas pedal? Do you hear a weird whining noise when you get up to highway speeds? Because a failed transmission on a cheap Rogue makes the car financially worthless to repair. If you feel any weak acceleration at all, just walk away immediately.
Next up on the list are the Chevrolet Equinox and the GMC Terrain, specifically the ones with the 2.4-liter engine. On paper, these look like incredibly comfortable, spacious family deals, but they're actually hiding a terrible engine-destroying secret, which is severe oil consumption. These engines can burn through oil far faster than most buyers would ever expect.
And what makes this so incredibly dangerous is that this type of hidden engine damage, it won't show up on a quick 10-minute test drive. You could take it around the block, and the car might look spotless and sound perfectly fine. But chronic low oil leads directly to catastrophic timing chain issues. If a seller ever tells you, it just needs a little oil sometimes, that is a massive red flag. That tiny little excuse is masking a huge impending repair bill.
For our third trap, let's take a look at the 2013 to 2014 Ford Escape, specifically the 1.6-liter EcoBoost models. This SUV still looks really modern today, right? It's got great power, it's the perfect size, but that styling completely masks its severe underlying issues. Buyers get drawn in by the looks, and they totally ignore the severe cooling, overheating, and transmission complaints that heavily plague this specific generation.
Listen, you absolutely must rigorously check the coolant levels and the overheating history before buying an Escape from this era. If you pop the hood and you smell that sweet scent of coolant, or if you notice the transmission shifting even a little roughly during your test drive, do not try to convince yourself that it's just normal wear and tear. It is absolutely not worth the gamble. The repair costs will completely ruin the deal.
Transitioning over to number 4, the Dodge Journey. Now, this one is highly tempting for budget-conscious families because it offers 3 rows of seating at rock-bottom prices. It's literally exactly what families who need space on a tight budget are searching for, but it is the ultimate illusion of value.
And that's because these were initially sold as budget vehicles, which means they are frequently maintained like cheap cars. Second and third owners often skip vital, routine maintenance, which leaves you stuck with a vehicle plagued by transmission failures, premature brake wear, and just endless electrical annoyances. You are basically paying for problems, not for space.
Trap number 5 brings us to the older Jeep Patriot and Jeep Compass models. This is what we call the Jeep badge trap.
Buyers are completely blinded by the rugged reputation of that logo. You see the Jeep badge and you instantly think of off-road durability and strength, but a cheap crossover with a weak CVT is entirely different from a rugged off-roader. The badge on the hood does not magically erase the mechanical flaws underneath.
In fact, the dangerously weak CVT transmission in these specific models causes whining, poor acceleration, and overheating. And that can lead to terrifying limp mode situations right in the middle of fast-moving highway traffic. Losing your acceleration at 60 miles an hour isn't just some annoying mechanical quirk, it is a genuine hazard to you and your family.
Number 6 highlights the older GM 3-row SUVs from the late 2000s and early 2010s. We're talking about the GMC Acadia, the Chevy Traverse, and the Buick Enclave. Big SUVs mean big family space, sure, but they also mean big repair costs. As these models age, they become deeply prone to devastating timing chain failures and insanely expensive power steering repairs.
It is so incredibly easy to fall in love with a freshly vacuumed, spacious interior that perfectly fits your whole family. But please remember, a clean interior might be hiding a completely neglected, high-mileage engine under the hood. Since these were used so heavily as family haulers, the mileage is usually high and the maintenance records are often pretty spotty at best. You've got to look past that shiny dashboard.
Number 7 on our list is the surprisingly modern-looking 2014 to 2015 Jeep Cherokee. It's got fantastic interior features, and honestly, it looks like a highly intelligent buy for the price. But its fatal flaw is its notoriously confused 9-speed automatic transmission. The early models are famous for severe hesitation and harsh shifting that even dealership software updates often struggle to permanently fix.
So, if you are absolutely determined to buy one of these, you have to put it through the Cherokee stress test. Do not just drive it around a quiet, flat block. You need to drive it slowly in stop-and-go traffic. Accelerate gently, and then accelerate harder. You need to feel absolutely every single shift. If that transmission hesitates, jerks, or desperately searches for the right gear, hand the keys right back to the seller and walk away.
So, what does this all mean for you? How do you protect your wallet from all 7 of these traps? Well, let's pivot to empowering you with a concrete, actionable checklist. Because if you are shopping in the sub-$10,000 market, you absolutely cannot rely on luck. You need a rock-solid strategy to separate the rare gems from the endless money pits.
All right, here are your mandatory steps. 1. Demand to see the service records. No records means high risk. 2. Take a long test drive. We're talking at least 20 minutes. 3. Pay attention to how the transmission feels both freezing cold and fully warmed up. 4. Bring a scanner to check for hidden engine codes. 5. Run that VIN to ensure all safety recalls were done. And 6. The absolute golden rule, get an independent mechanic inspection. Spending $100 right now is infinitely cheaper than buying a broken SUV.
To summarize our explainer today, the final verdict is crystal clear. While these 7 SUVs might look deeply tempting on paper, and they are definitely priced to sell, picking the wrong one will financially ruin the deal post-purchase. Never, ever buy one of these models blindly just because the exterior is shiny and the price fits your budget. You have to demand perfection in their maintenance history.
Ultimately, protecting your hard-earned money comes down to discipline. It is so easy to get attached to a car on the lot, but you have to keep your emotions in check, because sometimes the absolute best used SUV you'll ever encounter is the one you confidently avoid. So I'll leave you with this thought. When you find that shiny but flawed budget SUV, are you prepared to just walk away? Use this knowledge, stay focused out there, and happy hunting.